Welcome to UnAccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for news, updates, and more. I am your margin maverick of a host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the journal juggler, Jeremy Van Grohl. Hello, sir.
Hello, and you said juggler, right? Because I think last episode you talked a little gigolo things. I just want to make sure I heard you right. We're good there?
All things apply.
All right, we got a lot to talk about this time, so I'm going to jump right into our news.
Hit me.
All right, here's the first question. Have you heard where the new hotbed in AI is going to be, Tyler?
I am going to go with Hoboken, New Jersey.
No, we gave love to your, the Stormin' Mormons last time in Utah. This was a big article this week that in southeast Wisconsin, Racine between Milwaukee and Chicago area, Microsoft and President Biden announced that there's going to be, I think it's a $3.3 billion investment in Wisconsin to build out this huge resource to grow artificial intelligence, train students, partner with nonprofits, and I think it's to train up more than $100,000 of Wisconsin residents in essential AI skills. Pretty cool. Do you know what that means?
No.
That means when you have AI questions, this person from Wisconsin will still have absolutely no idea how to give you the answers. But I'm really excited. This is pretty awesome. I think it was on the same site that the whole Foxconn thing that was going to come there with the cell phones and Trump and our governor, whatever, that all failed. But they're going to take that now and make it an AI hotbed here in Wisconsin. Pretty pumped for this.
That's really cool. Well, the other thing I don't know if you saw in the news this week, slightly accounting related, but the IRS reportedly is going to be slashing, that is the term they use, their PTIN fees. Now, Jeremy, you know what a PTIN is, right?
Yes. That is your professional designation in order to file tax filings with the IRS as a financial person.
Yeah, your taxpayer professional ID number, however that acronym works out. Your Paris tax identification number. Yeah. But that being said, this is what kills me this is a huge announcement that they're cutting fees. Jeremy, do you know how much we were paying before for PTIN fees?
No, I have no idea. No, well, go ahead. I'm not going to guess.
$30.75. And I'm sorry, as a tax preparer, I just kind of sneezed at that and said, like, all right, cool, moving on, like formality, filing costs. Yeah. And essentially, there was this whole thing that came out where there was a lawsuit filed against the IRS that they are charging too much based on their costs. And basically, it was like $22, where was it? $21 plus a $9.75 contractor fee. And now, so it was $21 is what the IRS was taking home. And now they're going to be taking their cut down to $11. Sorry, IRS, I really don't care about my $11 back. I want you to just improve the systems. Whoever's suing the IRS, I need to go into this article deeper, but the fact that the IRS is being come after for the $10 extra they charge me, like, I'm sorry, that feels like a reasonable fee to file taxes.
Oh, yeah. And this has to be some kind of lobbying group for an accounting consortium of sorts or something. Who has time to deal with it? I was the same way, and I realize we are both pretty blessed with our careers and income and whatever else. But yeah, same thing. You pay me $30 to have a credential that I can do filings. It was like, yep, click the box. Let's move on with life, right? Wow, like ain't nobody got time for that for $11.
Jeremy, I'm excited because we have another guest. And this week, I'm bringing in someone that actually has been working with my firm for the last couple weeks to help us get noticed, right? I was the stinky kid in the corner of the lunchroom that no one would talk to, and like he's helping up my brand that maybe the cute girls will come talk to me. Daniel at GA4 Genius has come into our company and helped us with all our Google ads and making everything so that, maybe the cute companies will come talk to us. Daniel, we're excited to have you on the show. I mean, hopefully that was a worthwhile introduction, but feel free to tell us about yourself. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Yeah, my name is Daniel Ward. I'm the owner and CEO of GA4 Genius. We specialize in small business brand development. And so basically, it's how do we take you from, like exactly as you put it, no one wants to dance with you, to people want to have a party. And so how do we introduce you to the world, and how do we kind of push you out there. I have an MBA from Colorado Mesa University, which after we do your fast rounds, I may be losing. If my school sees this, they may withhold my accreditation. So let's see how we do with that. So, but I've been working in digital marketing and small business development for well over 10 years. So even before I had a degree, I've been kind of working with a bunch of small businesses to basically make them well known and well accepted across the country. So yeah.
I'm just going to put out, like, you're willingly working with Tyler, so you must be desperate, right? And that is, like, clearly self-deprecating to here, because I put him up with him every 2 weeks at least.
Anybody who's willing to throw money at me, I'm often willing to do things for. I'm not, like sometimes money speaks. That's what's important.
We talked about last episode, Jeremy. That's how you got through college.
That's right. I think we talked about that earlier too. Love it.
Well, without further ado, we bring in Fast Figures.
Oh, God. Suspenseful music to make it even more crazy.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
Daniel, if you're like everyone else on the planet and haven't listened to our show before, you got 1 minute coming at you fast. Are you ready, sir?
Ready.
1 minute on the clock. Here we go. How many bytes are taken out of the iconic Apple logo?
1.
According to a 2023 TechReport.com article, what is the average ad conversion rate on Google searches covering all industries? You got a 5% window here.
Oh, it's 10%.
The default Google ad setting is to display your ads how many hours a day?
24.
In the cult classic Office Space, how many consultants are brought in to downsize the company?
3.
As of 2023, Bing Search owned what percentage of all global searches within 5%?
Oh, so that's a trick question because it used to be 10, but it's close to 16.
Within 10%, Facebook, who famously has display ads mixed in with life updates on our feed, they made what percent of their income from advertising?
I want to say 90%.
The day this episode will air, May 23rd, is National Lucky Penny Day. Who knew? While the original penny was 100% copper, within 10%, what percentage of a penny is made with copper today?
15.
According to Forbes, what percent of users get to the second page of search results on Google?
4.
How many notes are in the famous McDonald's jingle for I'm Lovin' It?
3.
According to TechReport.com, what is the average cost per click across all industries?
$2.
Well done, sir. How do you feel after that?
I'm a little, I don't know, kind of mixed, but I do have a funny joke. Do you know how to hide a body? You put it on the second page of Google. No one will ever find it.
I feel like that's one you drop in your consults all the time, right?
I do.
That's a good line. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. Right now, I've got a sales gal I hired that's listening to my past year and a half of sales consults, and I feel so bad because she's hearing the same joke I recycle over and over every time.
Same. I have some selling points. I'm always like, you don't need it now. Like, it's like a lawyer. You don't need a lawyer all the time, but when you need one, you need to call him, right? And so, like, that's the other one that everybody hears. Like,
oh, a year and a half? That poor girl. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. God bless you, Tanisha. You're doing great.
God, Lord.
All right, let's run back through this. Starting off with a nice softball. How many bytes are taken out of the iconic Apple logo? You said 1. And yeah, don't overthink it. That's good. Starting off with an easy one. Question 2, according to TechReport.com article, what is the average ad conversion rate on Google searches covering all industries within 5%? You said 10. They say 3.75, but again, Daniel, this is your world, not ours.
So this is where this gets a little weird. So like there's some very distinguishing things between, if you were talking about B2B, so for your industry, when we're looking for that, I would look for something between 0.75 and 1.5. If it was clothing or like I have a pizza shop, the pizza shop's conversion rate is 29%. The clothing shop sends around 15%. So like you have these varying industries that you work with that you can have different things. So when they were like throwing that number out there, I'm like, are you including Sears and Walmart or like any of those advertising? Because they're probably closer to like 50%. So like when you talk about these averages, where and what industries and what sides of the industry?
screw this bookkeeping stuff. I'm opening a pizza parlor. Man, what the hell?
Yeah. Return on ad spend for the pizza parlor place is 256,000%.
Well, Jeremy, it makes sense though, because they can put a nice tasty pepperoni slice on the screen and everyone's excited. They show you or me doing their books and they're like, yeah, pass.
Yeah, and throw open their mouth a little.
Question 3. The default Google ad setting is to display your ad how many hours a day? You said 24. And Daniel, I bring this question up because that seems not like a good idea if, most of my target audience probably isn't awake at 2 a.m. I probably don't want the people online at 2 a.m. looking at my ads. How does Google waste my money?
That's a perfect example of how Google wastes your money, is that they will immediately, you have to actually go into a secondary setting. So when you're looking at this, when you're setting it up, there's actually this thing that says additional settings when you're setting up the original campaign. And we'll go a little bit more into like this when we go talk about Google later. You have to click on it and then you go to ad schedule. And that's another perfect example of industry, right? So you are a B2B industry whose admin services probably only work Monday through Friday. So the people who are going to be looking you up aren't needing this on the weekend. Now we can run video ads on the weekend because that's like, you get in people's brains. And then when they go back to work on Monday, they come back and they're like, hey, I actually heard about this company that does this. That's a little bit different. That's that whole awareness thing. But yeah, on the main part of that though, is like to run your ads 24 hours a day. Who is up at 2 a.m. that needs to know about accounting services? And then more importantly, Google's just showing your ads to take your money, even though that's probably not a relevant audience.
It makes total sense, but not something I would have looked for.
Yeah. And it's not. A lot of people just bypass that setting. It's the same thing. There's the one that's called, that they automatically put on there too. It's called display partners. And we'll talk about that one later on, about why that setting is bad for you and what it does when we get into a little bit how can you save your money from Google and don't trust Google.
Interesting.
So what do you think for professional services like us? What is the right time period that we should be, like 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m, or what do you think would be the best window?
Yeah, so that's actually something that we just worked on with Tyler's Count. Is after we said we usually start a standard of 4 a.m. to midnight to start, because you kind of want that data. Like you're not going to spend too much. And so if you are falling into the later evening and so no one's looking up, you'll actually never spend money at that time. And so what we just did after letting his account run for the last 30 days is we went back and we looked at the performance times of when ads are running and what the engagement looks like, who's converting, who's clicking. And we were able to say, well, no one really starts looking for you until 7 o'clock in the morning. And then we're not seeing anyone looking for you after 8 o'clock at night. So his is 7 a.m. to 8. So he's got about a 13-hour time span where people are really looking for him. And so we can apply that there. And then we can do the same thing with the video. Like we can limit the show time on it because we don't need to be playing overnight. Some people fall asleep with YouTube on because they have videos on there now, or they're playing it on YouTube TV. And so the commercials pop up on there. And so there's a large probability that during that time, the people who are hearing your ads aren't even awake. So like there's a lot of ifs that play into is this a good time? Is this a good decision?
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. In the cult classic Office space, how many consultants are brought in to downsize the company?
This is a total guess.
3. It is 2, but I'll let you redeem that if you can name the consultants.
Nope.
Jeremy?
The Bobs.
I'm Bob Slidell. This is my associate, Bob Porter.
Hi, Bob. Bob?
Bob and Bob. Well done, sir.
Bob. That was something I remember watching in high school and have not really refreshed my memory since.
Such a great one.
Also just dated myself.
Question 5. As of 2023, Bing owned what percentage of global searches?
So I said 10 to 16%.
Yeah, I forgot. I'm supposed to give the answer there. My bad. So according to Forbes, it's 3.2%. But again, this is your world. Tell me how I'm wrong. Like, am I trusting Google too much?
So there's a little bit of controversy over this. For a long time, the standard argument was that Google controlled 90% of the global population for search. And this was basically, Google even bragged about this for a really long time. And then ChatGPT came out. And this caused a little bit of disruption because it's a Bing product. It comes from Microsoft. And so when that happened, we saw an influx of users move away from Google over to Bing because ChatGPT used Bing as its search source. And so there was a sudden pickup in that. And then it kind of leveled off when Google tried to fight back with Bard, which is basically the AI that you now see on side of Google search. And so there was this weird controversy about like 3%, I feel like is an old metric. It's weird that that was an article from 2023, because I feel like that's been one of the most like common things is it's generally considered 10% of the population goes to there. And then the 90% comes from the fact that Google owns the world's largest search engine, which is Google. And then they own the second largest search engine, which is YouTube.
I thought it was interesting because in that article, they actually mentioned one of the top targeted keywords in Google is YouTube. So the second largest engine is searched the most by the first engine.
Mm-hmm. And owned by the same company.
Scratching each other's backs or their own back.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's funny. Yeah. That's where we can talk about SEO stuff and how you can grant yourself domain authority by utilizing YouTube. But it's a fun game. It's a fun game we play.
All right. Next question. Within 10%, Facebook, who famously has display ads mixed in with my life updates, made what percentage of its income from advertising? You said 90%. It's 98% of its income. And this is one of those things that, I want to hear your take on Google display ads versus search ads, because Google lives in the display ad space. But I really quickly want to point out, I often forget on Facebook that I am the product, right? Like, all I am is a way for Google to put those things out there and charge people money for it.
It's the biggest racket too, because it's seeing it, right? So like with Google, if you use cost per click, and that's where you use search keywords. That one's like by anytime someone searches it and then clicks on it. So you pay for the click. Meta's impression. So like every time someone sees your ad, you get charged for it. And like, I was actually going to guess 100% originally. And I was like, I don't know. I bet there's some weird like 10% that doesn't, and I'm trying to even figure out where does that other percentage come from? Like where, like, because it is like, that's basically all that Meta makes its money off of. Like, is where's that other 2% coming from?
Interest income and
I think it's
games.
Like the games. Yeah, the games you get there, and they get some kind of cut if the game developer gets it. That's my guess.
Yeah, in-app purchases, things like that. There's some ways you can set up a shop inside of Meta too, so that like if you don't have Shopify, you can sell your products and not like in the marketplace, you can basically set. And so I wonder if they take a percentage off there too, that maybe that accounts for it. But yeah, I was going to guess 100 because I was like, I don't know how else they make money, to be completely honest. Like I know that they have subsidiaries.
So real quick to tease this out, I know you touched on, so display ad is per impression versus a lot of what we're doing in Google. I know Google can do display ads, but as a search ad, just for those uninitiated, very concisely, like the two differences?
Yeah, so there's two different types. And this is where, and honestly, I've kind of even changed my opinion based on most recent marketing opinions. We used to talk about Meta was for awareness, and we usually use display for awareness because it's a little more broad reaching. It's kind of all pictures and videos. It tells a story, but it's not super engaging to where we talk about the bottom of the funnel, which is where we use like cost per click. People know exactly what they're looking for and they're ready to convert at that time. So generally we used to say that a lot of what you would get on Meta was only top of funnel and you had a hard time actively reaching to the bottom of funnel through Meta. That's kind of changed. They've done some pretty big updates over the last 6 months. And so they are still very much display based and they're audience centric. So they don't use keywords. So like, and they have smart audiences. So I think one of my favorite examples, they've gotten rid of these before, but they used to have really fun names for their audiences, like Hippy Dippy was for like the boho style crafting art market. So you could go like if you were trying to advertise them, they used to have really fun names for their audiences. Now you don't even really get to pick your audiences because they've implemented so much AI into the back of Meta. But the main difference between like display and like search is like display uses audiences and imagery. Search uses keywords and then ad copy. So you can sometimes have pictures in there, but it's generally more centric around trying to get people who have made up their mind. Now you're just persuading them to go with you.
Love it. Next question. The day this episode drops, May 23rd, is National Lucky Penny Day. Who knew? While the original penny was 100% copper, within 10%, what percentage of a penny is made with copper today? You said 15%. The answer is 2.5. And anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess what that other metal is?
So, go say probably not nickel, cobalt. It'd be something cheaper. Iron.
Zinc. I had no idea.
Really? I feel like that's soft.
There's your answer for today. All right. According to Forbes, what percentage of users get to the second page of Google? You generously said 4%, but even though it's still in the window, they say less than 1%.
Yeah. Again, if you ever need to hide a body, put it on page 2 of Google. No one's ever going to find it.
Well, so this brings up the question because, you guys are growth consultants helping people all across the board. And this plays into SEO, right? Because we're talking about ads where if you pay for a search ad, you're showing up first on the list, but then right behind those paid ads are the people that have done their homework to show up next. Like, What's that relationship like between SEO and Google Ads? And preach to us.
So I always liken it to going to Disneyland and your friend has the fast pass and you don't. And so they get to go on the ride and they get to go to the front a lot faster than you do. But your ride might be a little more meaningful because it took a little longer to get there. And so that's one of those examples. So SEO works to basically tell Google, I am an authority. I know what I'm talking about. And this is what I do. Google Ads is like, please look at me. I want to pay to be looked at, please. I always liken it to being the spoiled friend that goes to the park with the friend who isn't as spoiled, because you get to skip the line. And so you're going to the top of the page, but you're paying for it. Then you're also competing too, which is where all the money starts coming in. Cause your space is a perfect example. You're not super highly competitive. You're still competing with accountants. I mean, you're competing with a lot of people who are inside of that space, utilizing those softwares as a service, the SaaSes that you guys align with. But if you wanted to not pay as much, you kind of organically rank, which helps to increase your landing page score in Google Ads. And then your landing page score gives you better credential on ads, which drops your pricing because you have a ranking system in which the closer you are to 10 out of 10, the less you pay for a keyword. And so that's all in that quality ranking that Google gives you. Additionally, when you're talking about ad placement, you'll have outranking shares. And so when you're talking about utilizing display ads like Performance Max or a video campaign inside of their ranking shares determine how much higher you are than everybody else on the list. So if your landing page score is good, your engagement, your load time, they consider how long it takes your page to load, and the score is better than everybody else's, you move up the list because you have a better user experience. And that's always Google's goal, right? They're the product. They're delivering us these users, and the better it is for their users, the better they're going to make it for you. And so that's kind of the end goal with all of these ads, basically trying to co-align with whatever your SEO optimizations are, as well as doing your ads. Because if your page has nothing to do with what the ads has to do with, you're going to get a bad quality score. You're going to go down in the rankings. You're going to spend more on keywords. So if you get a 1 out of 10 score, you pay 400% on that keyword. If you score 0 out of 0, they won't let you use the keyword. They just take it away from you. So, so that's why you need to correlate your SEO efforts a little bit with your SEM efforts. Because if you are sending people to pages that have nothing to do with what you're talking about in your ads, Google's be like, you're crap, I don't care.
Next question. How many notes are in the famous McDonald's jingle for I'm Loving It? You said 3.
4?
Technically 5.
Oh.
Ba-da.
See, I was thinking these two were the same. I was like, I must have been a half step off.
But the thing is, our brain all went to that same tune. And I'm curious your thoughts on staying power of how do you make a brand memorable? How do you stay top of mind? Obviously, McDonald's has billions of dollars to throw at it, where nonprofit bookkeeping only has millions. But $12? What was that? I mean, what's key to staying top of mind?
So if you're doing nonprofit work, by the way, and you are considered technically a nonprofit organization, by the way, you do get $10,000 for free from Google for advertising. You just have to have your documentation. I just like to throw that out. A lot of people don't know they have grant accounts. And so if anybody is ever in a nonprofit organization and you are running ads, that is a perfect opportunity to take Google's money, which is my favorite game. But that's kind of where we talk about why video. If video isn't likely to convert, why are we spending time and money there, right? And that's also talking then about brand voice, and you start talking about competitive priority and all of these things that make you unique and distinguishable from everyone else around you, right? So that's, McDonald's, was not technically first. White Castle's the first fast food restaurant, but they were one of the first ones to chain. So there was multiple McDonald's that came up very quickly in the 1950s. And so they have that reputation behind them because they were a built brand. So how do you become a built brand? Well, how do you go from being mom and pop to big name and things like that? And that's where we talk about brand voice. And so like Tyler, you tend to have a very funny brand voice. We made the Sasquatch video, we made the RX video, saying, we'll heal your books. That's kind of the message we're sending is it's, like we're the solution to your pain and problems.
I'm still sad you didn't let me use soothing ointment as much as I wanted to in the ad copy, but whatever.
I'm just saying, unless you're going to start offering the ointment, that's called false advertising.
All right.
And so that's where we start, you develop this brand name and there's so many brands out there now, right? And that's where you're constantly competing for everyone's attention. Everything comes in 30-second clips, Reels, TikTok, all of that. And you squeeze in between there on your ads as part of the video. So you're getting in front of people on the most commonly watched platforms. And that's how you start to stay relevant is you catch people's attention. You have to stand out from the crowd. And sometimes it's by what you offer. So you are specialized towards glamping and camping, nonprofit organizations, whatever it is, you're going to sell that as a message. And then you're going to give them a distinguishable characteristic, like being the friendliest, being the fastest, most accurate, least amount of times that anyone's ever been audited. These are all things that they're things that your competitors can't say, but they create intrigue and wonder. And so then that's where you start pulling people away from these bigger corporations that maybe don't have that level of customer service or engagement. So they feel like they're not getting what they want. That's one of the biggest ways you can win against a lot of corporations is to distinguish yourself as we have legitimate customer service, or here in the US, we have customer service in the USA. That's a big distinguishing thing with a lot of major corporations that you can put out there that makes you a little more memorable. So when they have a bad experience with that company next, honestly, I'm just so sick of this customer experience. I'm going to go ahead and go check these guys out, see what their pricing is, figure all that out. So you have to be able to pull in collective audiences that are interested in your product, but then two, just highly distinguish yourself. There's in a mass world of constant communication and videos being thrown at you, some are fake commercials, some are real commercials, some don't even look like commercials anymore. Sometimes it looks like an influencer talking about things. There's so many ways to get in front of people now that you have to figure out how you distinguish yourself. And that's where you define your brand name, your brand position, your competitive priorities, your competitive advantages, and then you display it. You display it frequently and often.
Jeremy, I feel like there should be a competition in our Facebook group for the best thing you can advertise your business that sets you apart. If you're small enough and new enough, you can have a 0% audit rate on all of your client financials, right? You have had zero, you up until this point, you've been a perfect keeping your clients from audits. Now it's, you've only had 2 clients, but hey, there you go.
Yeah.
We've never missed a deadline.
Exactly.
Never had a deadline, but
all right, we never missed one.
That's one of those things where it's you have these gray areas that you can say things in. It's technically true, but if you looked into the details, it's not impressive.
Great.
Last question. According to techreport.com, what is the average cost per click across all industries? You said $2, and their answer 1 to 2, which a lot of our listeners are smaller firms, still getting started up, still getting going, and they're on a budget. Daniel, where do they start if they want to, start upping their advertising game and start growing? What's the best bang for the buck for them?
Yeah. So I was actually kind of preparing for this question, how can you what's the best advice that, especially starting? And the first mistake everybody makes is when they set up their account. There are 2 options in the header on the right-hand side. One says...
You're saying Google Ads?
And Google Ads. So you'll go to ads.google.com. And if you don't have a new account, there'll be 2 options in it. It'll say get started or sign in. Never, ever, 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 ever hit get started. Ever. There are 2 different types of ad campaigns that are created. You have what is called a smart campaign, and then you have a expert campaign. If you hit get started, it will automatically sign you up for a smart campaign. And never trust Google. And this is where Google will kind of just ask you questions, and then they will make ads for you. You have no control in them other than the pricing, and there's very limited you can do. You can kind of modify the audiences, but generally they kind of switch you towards display ads, which are great for reach. But as soon as you start down this smart campaign thing, you kind of get stuck in this account, and you can switch it out, but it's really hard. But then it leads you to only being able to follow Google's suggestion. And so, yeah. And so this is where on either campaign, you need to never trust Google. And so like the first mistake a lot of people make is they accidentally set up a smart account. If you do that, it's fine. There's a way to switch out of it. You can switch to expert mode, or you can change your view styles to basically change it up. But then if you go under expert mode and you set it up the way that we run it, generally, if you're working in a digital marketing agency or any kind of that, you run it through an MCC, which is set up in expert mode. Inside of there are things that are called recommendations that will pop up, and Google will be like, hey, you would get blah, blah, blah if you do blah, blah, blah. And so this is where Google starts telling you how to do better on your ads. And this is where you should never trust Google. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that every account I pretty much get has said yes to Google's suggestions. And they're like, I went from paying like $250 a month to 15, and I have no idea how. And it's like, did you say yes every time Google made a suggestion? I did. Okay, that's exactly what they wanted you to do, because they were telling you your performance would be better if you did this. The reality is the metrics they were telling you would be better aren't relevant. They didn't say you'd get more conversions, you'd get more phone calls, you'd get form submissions. They said your impression share would increase. Impression share is how many times people see your ads. That's useless. I don't care. Unless if it's a video and I know my audiences are directed, that is an absolutely useless metric. The second thing they like to throw at people is you have unspent budget every day. By allowing Google partners, we can use the remainder of your budget. This is a terrible mistake because all it's doing is increasing impression share again. More people are seeing my ads, but it's not doing anything. It's not guaranteeing anything. But the other thing that it doesn't tell you is that if you had like an average of $1 per day or $1.25, and so like at the end of the day, it was like, oh, we only have 50 cents left. That's not enough to actually bid. It will hold that 50 cents over. It'll keep saving until it can bid again. So that money doesn't go to waste like Google likes you to believe. It just holds until it has enough money to spend again on a full bid. So like you may get 3 bids in one day and then like a fourth on the fourth, because that 25 cents added up over time to equal out a new bid. Google wants you to spend all your money showing pictures on their partner sites. It's not Google. It's a display ad. Maybe it might even just be an in-message ad where it just shows your ad inside of a news article. And they're going to take your 2 cents for every time they show that. And so like, that's one of those instances where Google just says, this will do better, but it's not doing anything and it's not improving. Mm-hmm. Another one of my favorite ones is when they go, hey, you should try broad match keywords. Quick overview of keywords. So exact match is when it has to say exactly what it is. Phrase match is when the keywords can be switched around a little bit. And broad match means that any word in that can trigger a search. So if we're talking about specialty bookkeeping, hotel accounting, specialty bookkeeping, hotel, and accounting, and broad match would all trigger a search result. So you're going to show up more frequently, which means you're going to show up more frequently in front of people who don't need your services. Yeah. And then you're going to get bad leads because people think you're an accountant. No, I'm a special accountant. I don't do that. Like, it's like, and so that's where like, it'll start messing up your conversion rate. So you're like, yeah, you're getting it in front of more people and you're spending more money to be there, but your conversion rate just went down and your lead quality sucks. So these are like Google's suggestions that are going to basically take your money.
So essentially, like that broad match is going to look at Jeremy and nonprofit bookkeeping, and it's going to see profit book and take me to a gambling website because it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to show it to these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
While I'm here, put a fin back on Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, exactly. And so it is. It's these things that Google tells you this metric is good. And without knowing that that's not a good metric, you wouldn't know to be like, no, I'm not doing that.
Interesting. Yeah, Google, after I set up my account, they were aggressive calling me saying, hey, we've got ideas for you on how to improve it. We're here to help you.
Don't even get me started on the strategists.
All right.
Woo! I have got on there with them before, and they've been like, you should add a Performance Max campaign. I'm like, I have 3. Why would I need to add another one? They're like, oh. I'm like, are you just following a script? We'll need to call you back. You're following a script. You didn't even look at the account. You just you just went common denominator issues, and we're like, yep, this is probably why your account sucks. Meanwhile, I'm spending 15 cents a click and making $250,000. I don't need to hear your 10 cents, Google.
Daniel, excellent work. 5 out of 10. Coming in right on par for the course, man.
Yay! I was worried. I didn't want to lose my degree over this. I barely scraped by the first time. I don't need them to question it.
That takes us to halftime, the point in the episode where we get to take a bite out of an app. And Daniel, today you're talking to us about your love for Canva. Dare tell us
Yeah.
why this is your app snack.
So here's the crazy thing. I started using Canva, I want to say it was about 7 years ago. I was working, this is before I had a degree. It's when I first started doing social media marketing and everything like that. And originally my boss was like, I hate paying for Adobe. I don't like Illustrator and I don't like Adobe. And I'd spent years learning how to use these things. And he was like, I don't want to use them anymore. They're too expensive. Let's switch. There's this new thing called Canva I want you to try. And for a long time, it seemed like no one knew what Canva was. And then now, like, that's every marketer's secret, like, is like, I have Canva. Like, that's how they, like, that's how everybody seems to get by. Like, everyone has it. And it's such a force now that they have integrated into Meta. They now have an integration into their video editing software so that, like, you can, like, there's free Canva integrated into Meta now. They have integrated into Google. So you can upload your images straight from Canva into Google and, like, you can send it to a Dropbox. Like, they have gone from, like, no one really knew who they were. It seemed like 3 or 4 years ago, except for some people, and we kept it like a secret. Like, we were almost embarrassed. We didn't know how to use Photoshop. So we're like, yeah, I can use Photoshop. And so, like, so we kind of kept it the secret that we use Canva, but now everybody uses Canva. And then every week they're expanding, like, as soon as Reels came out, the next week they had Reels. They were like, you want to make Reels? Boom, here you go. It's like they've meet that demand every time, and they have integration. If you have problems, they're super fast with helping you. They don't like to hear things aren't working. If you tell them something's not working, they're like, yeah, we'll get back to you. And then, like, you get a legit response from some person who either have further questions or they have a really good response about why. And so, like, I was having an integration issue with Google Ads, and they were like, oh, it's because your username is crossed. Like, you need to put the same username in there. Just do this. And, like, within, I think it was 2 hours, they had my problem fixed. And so I could export all my images out so my clients could get them more easily. But sharing images, with Photoshop, you had to download these massive files and email them over. I just send a link. You can give it permission to let you edit it. Like, it's so easy. It's like you can work together in groups. Brady and I, where she works over there with you, she and I, send each other videos back and forth all the time. And so they're like, I would do this. And, like, leave notes for each other about, like, yeah, this is good, but, update this. And so, like, and then it's really collaborative, and it's got this great expanse. So you can get a lot of really awesome things, and just super impressed with how it's grown and just its capabilities. On top of that, they've integrated a lot of AI stuff. So you have, I want to say it's Dwally or something like that. It's the AI generating. Dolly, the AI generated software. They have AI voiceover now implemented in there. It's not the best, but it's in there. And you can pay for the more expensive ones. It's also integrated in there. They have their own AI that does project creation. So if you're ever just stuck and you're like, I don't know what to make, but you know what you need to make it on, you can write out a pretty decent description and select some content. There it is. And you'll have to edit a little bit. It doesn't make the best choices. Like, I did a Father's Day ad the other day, and it was putting all these, like, daisies and posies all over it. I'm like, totally missed the mark on that one, bud. Let's delete these out and put some cowboy boots on here. And all right. Yes. But yeah, honestly, it's just this great software that has really getting super popular over the last couple of years, and they are advancing and stepping up their game every step of the way. So really impressed with them.
Well, and especially for the one-man show right now, $120 a year, $10 a month. Like, if you're looking to get some basic marketing out there, that seems like a pretty reasonable price point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then don't tell them, but you can share your password. You don't have to add multiple users. So if you share your password.
We just had a security guy on a little while ago. Don't do that. But, like, I think the overall theme here is make it easy, have good support, right? Like, make your tool work, do what it's going to do, so a normal person can do it. I saw Tyler's face on that. Oh, man, the listeners aren't going to see. Anyway, but then have good support, right? If I have an issue, let me talk to a person that can resolve my issue quickly and make me successful on it. And it's amazing, right? It's user experience.
What a thing.
Well, Daniel, we love having you on here, man. Before we kick you out the door and keep talking nerd talk accounting and unfortunately say goodbye to what might be the most amazing neon dinosaur and weather Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, I thought you'd appreciate it. I almost wore another one, but then I was like, I think the neon dinos is going to show up a lot better on screen, so I'm going to make sure to wear this.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Anything that we missed or last tips for our listeners?
The biggest thing is, if you want to start ads, I highly recommend it. It's one of the fastest ways to get your name out there. And if you aren't exactly sure where to start, ask for help. There's a lot of people out there like me who can help you either on a consulting aspect. Tyler, I'm not running your ads, but I'm teaching your team how to do that, how to do it accurately, what they should be looking for. So there's different ways to do it. You don't have to pay someone thousands of dollars to run your ads, or you can. I'm all for taking your money and running your ads for you. I'm really good at it. I have great success as a background, but there's different ways you can do it. If you want to bring in an in-house person, because a lot of times clothing clients, I 100% understand having a social media person there. Every time you get new clothes in, you need to have pictures up, and I can't be over there doing that all the time. So, but getting someone to consult on, what's the best practice times. There's a lot of things. It's not just posting pictures and saying nice things. There's a lot of analytics that go behind it. And so if you can better understand how the system works, you can better game the system.
I love it. And how can our listeners find you?
You can find my website. It's GA4Genius.com, or you can always reach out to me. I think they said that they would put a link to my email in there too. So, but yeah, my email should be listed in there. So if you ever need to reach out, I do in the industry. And so as long as it's not competing with one of my current clients, I'm always willing to take you on.
Awesome. Daniel, thanks a bunch. Now get out of here.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was amazing. And let's just stick with ads for just a little bit longer.
Okay.
So I lobbed you a softball last time. I remember, because you knocked it out of the park with all of the retained earnings things. We need to make this a little harder, but still interested in advertising and accounting specifically. So what I did is I just provided you with the top 10 accounting firms. You have that list in front of you, right?
I do.
And what I did is I went and searched for their motto or tagline, and I'm going to shoot that at you. And I want you to tell me which of the firms this tagline belongs to.
Okay,
And
so just so the listener knows, we got the big four: Deloitte, PwC, EY, KPMG, but we also have BDO, RSM, Grant Thornton, Baker Tilly, Crowe, and CLA.
Yeah. And you can play it all you want. This is multiple choice. There's just a lot of choices.
All right, bring it on.
All right, first one. Shaping your better tomorrow together today.
BDO, and I'm going to say that because it sounds like, a cologne company anyways, and that sounds like a cologne company tagline.
No, that one is Crow. And I'm going to go right into the next one, and then I'm going to stop second. So the next one is now for tomorrow.
What? CLA Advisors.
And I hope you're checking these off so you're statistically getting better as you go along.
Yeah.
That's why I keep you a list. But no, so the first two are all focused on tomorrow. Shaping your better tomorrow together today, and now for tomorrow. Bringing in the now and the future all together in this amazing accounting world.
So wait, who was the second one?
Baker Tilly. All right.
Wow.
Let's move on.
How much money did they spend coming up with these taglines?
I don't know, man. Some of them, I get it, but some of them are hokey. All sorts of good ways. All right, next one. Building relationships, creating value.
Deloitte.
Nope. One of the big four, PwC. All right, and we'll say another theme. Next one. Building a better working world.
KPMG.
Nope. But another one of the big four, Ernst & Young. So think about these two, both building, creating value, better world, all these things. And I'm going to, our listener knows how much research we did. I spent some time on this. It might be an ad tagline from 3 years ago. It's been updated, but these are the ones I found doing our research. So yeah, building, a lot of building when you're working with accounting firms.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, next one. Inspiring confidence, empowering change.
CLA.
KPMG. That one. And have we covered? Oh, there's one more. We have 3 of the big 4 out there already.
Yep.
The next one. Making a meaningful impact.
Man, I don't know any of these. This is just painful. RSM.
The last of the big 4, Deloitte. Right? Deloitte's one of the 4, right? Yeah.
Making
right.
a meaning. Okay.
Making a meaningful impact. All right.
Yeah.
Next one. I kind of like this one. And then I'll get into some ones I don't like so much. Experience the power of being understood.
Experience the power of being Grant Thornton?
That one's RSM. I kind of like that, right? Talking about experience and empowering and we get you. I see some value in that one. I just liked it. All right, 3 to go. You ready? All right.
Sure.
We go beyond the expected.
All right, that's going to be Grant Thornton.
Hey, the law of averages is serving you well, or statistics.
Not shutout. We are not pitching a shutout here, folks.
That's right. All right, 2 to go. Next one. We find ways.
CLA.
50-50 shot on that one. Nope, BDO.
We find ways?
We find ways. So this one, we find ways. We find ways to get you an unqualified audit by any means possible. I don't know. That one I don't know if I like
that feels like it would be better as Uber's tagline.
Yeah. Yeah, we find ways. Or like the app for Waze, right? Like we find ways. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
All
I'm
right,
going to guess this last one's BDO.
No, the last one was BDO.
Oh, CLA.
Yeah, for sure. This one is, I couldn't find a good one, but I did find a graphic on them for CLA that said, we'll get you there. And I feel like this one could be as appropriate for like a multiple participant intimate gathering. I won't use the 4-letter word that I'm thinking of, but CLA will get you there.
I mean, again, this is half of these could be Uber taglines. Like, we'll find a way, we'll get you there.
We go beyond the expected. Same thing. You could have some overtones with that, but we are part of the team, right? So yeah, those are the 10 and their slogans. Again, talk about ads. But while we're talking about CLA, and we seem to have a theme of ads here, but we also got a big AI theme going on this episode. Did you see that they bought a British AI firm called Engine B? That just happened this week. They didn't say the amount. They said they're making $500 million in investments to expand their AI and smart technology in order to support clients. That sounded like flatulence, sir. I'm pretty sure that was your desk.
Yeah, it's okay. I didn't think you could hear it. Anyways, sorry, go on.
Anyway, good microphone. I like it. But yeah, so they just bought the firm to integrate them and build out their AI capabilities, AI everywhere in all the places, right? So that's kind of cool now. Now, like accounting firms, we know we need to rely on that. If they don't have the internal staff or knowledge to crack that nut, hey, let's acquire somebody that has, and let's see how we can build that together.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this truly shapes the landscape or not. Because, I don't know, this feels like one of those services. Is it really going to be worth it to buy your own AI service and try and develop something in-house, or use what's out there? Like, most Big Four accounting firms aren't building their own accounting software. Most Big Four accounting firms aren't trying to recreate Sheets or Excel. Like, you're just using the products that are out there. So trying to buy in AI and bring it in-house versus backing whatever horse is really doing well in the public sector, like, I think that might still be the way to go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too. Like, do they feel like they could take this a different way than what generalized AI will go and leverage that with their clients? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so those are our taglines for the Big 10. I think at 10%, we're keeping 10% right. Accounts? Perfect.
Wow. My brain hurts. That's all I got. Jeremy, this is where I was supposed to have another game, but I'm looking at our agenda and you've deleted my game. What is going on here?
Yeah, I have a good one here, I feel like. And it's kind of short and sweet. And this one, I stuck it to you a little hard last time, Tyler. But this one, I would like to call Intellectually Impaired, Tyler, which something you can't relate with, right? Intellectually impaired? No, none of that. Now, I want to talk impaired assets. Can you define for me, what is an impaired asset?
No, not confidently. I would rather take a 0 than define this as poorly as I feel like I'm about to ramble.
Oh, all right. I'll take that. I might have been able to do this one, so we'll see. So asset that has a recoverable or fair market value lower than its carrying value on the books is an impaired asset that you need to take some accounting action for.
Okay. Yeah, I would not have worded it that succinctly.
So I have a couple of examples on where we may need to take accounting action for an impaired asset.
All right.
And I'm pretty proud of these. We're going to test out your accounting chops on these. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. Your newest venture, Otto's Otter Farm, purchased a piece of specialized equipment, the Otter Declutter, which gives the little furballs regular angioplasty treatments to open up their clogged veins, an affliction that they regularly suffer due to their diet of discarded fast food and bacon grease that you personally pilfer each night from a dumpster behind the local burger joint.
The artistry in this question. Go on.
All right, we've effectively set the stage. All right, you purchased this equipment 2 years ago for $10,000,
Yep.
and it has a 5-year useful life, and
Yeah.
you are employing the straight line method of depreciation.
Yep.
Your equipment dealer now informs you that the declutter currently is valued at $3,000, which is the market value of its internal components only, as no one else in the world has the need for this equipment, as everyone else provides their precious otters with a healthy diet of small fish, mussels, and other sea life high in omega-3 fatty acids.
I feel like this is a trick question because regardless, IRS don't care. I think they're still telling you, I think we're straight line depreciating this $2,000 a year for the 5 years regardless. We're not doing some sort of true up to other loss and taking the asset value down to $3K unless you're holding it at the salvage value. This is I want to go back to the artistry in your question, but my final answer, I think we are not taking action. I think we're going to continue on straight line for the next 3 years, 2K a year, 6K in depreciation, 10K total done.
Yeah, and this is where, and thank you for the artistry. And like, this is where I show my love for you. But this is where I got out of college with an accounting degree and thought like everything is black and white, right? Like, this is the theory. You need to do this thing. It is exactly this. Take steps, ABC, all that. And then you get out there and you're like, gray lines and dotted lines and whatever else. So in theory, if you have documentation that your equipment, building, whatever it is worth significantly less now than what you have as a carrying value, in theory, you are to impair that asset and write that down. In this case, after 2 years, it would have a $6,000 carrying value.
So you would write 3K off to loss?
Right, 3K off to impaired asset expense, and you'd have now a new carrying value of $3,000 for the remaining years.
Interesting.
But like, this is super great. I talked about like you as a accountant, I'm not going to search out this value, right?
No.
And if we're going to use it for the whole point and we're not disposing it, am I going to do anything? No, right? Absolutely.
No. Interesting. Okay.
All right, let's go through another example.
Take me on a word problem story journey.
I will take you on a journey. All right, you acquired Dab's Dude Dancing Studio for $1 million 5 years ago.
Correct.
In this purchase, there were no liabilities, a building worth $700,000 that has not appreciated. The other assets were a trove of ball-hugging spandex leotards and bedazzled accessories worth another $100,000, which of course you kept fully stocked. However, due to your complete void of any dancing or teaching skills, all of the dancing dudes have left, and the reputation of the studio is now completely gone. What do you think you should do as an accountant?
How much did I purchase it for? $1 million?
Cool million.
700,000 to the building, 100,000 to my inventory. So 200,000 was goodwill, the value of the business. And I mean, normally can't you only expense the goodwill over the period of life of the loan unless I bought it straight up cash and there is no loan. So then can I get documentation to prove that my business is worth less and write down that 200K of goodwill?
Yeah, that is perfect, right? Yeah, that's the exact thing that we would be thinking about here is like you put $200,000 of goodwill of purchase price over hard assets that you purchased the business on, and you have that carrying value in your books, which really is customer list, intrinsic value of the organization, etc. And if that is now devoid, theoretically, you have no more goodwill. And are you amortizing that? There's laws in that or like structure around that as well. But whatever's left of that you have on the books, theoretically, you could write down because you have squandered this amazing opportunity with the dancing dudes.
What's interesting in all my time with hotels, because, you know, we have hotels that have tanked and after people have bought it, I have never played this game, though, of trying to true up asset values to lesser and someone trying to argue, yes, my assets are worth less. Because what they're trying to do is trying to find a buyer to pass everything on to, and they want to say, hey, look how valuable it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I too, like I've dabbled in this once with an organization because they had some very specialized equipment that was not working well and whatever else.
An otter declutter?
The oddity declutter, yes. But I feel like a normal accountant, a typical accountant, would very rarely see this. But I feel like this is something that an auditor one time would like throw out there at you and be like, have you assessed the value of your assets that are on the books? And are they still over market or cost value? Yeah, I could just see him throwing a curveball at you on this one. So
Interesting.
I mean, I think you did well. Nice work.
Yeah, these are fun questions. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's it. 2 examples. Let's hit winner.
Okay. Well, Jeremy, with that sound, it is time for our winner of the week. And who won this fine week of May?
I'm going to go with accounting students. So I saw this article this week that they are considering lowering the education requirement or number of years in order to sit for the CPA and have that designation from 5 years to 4 years. So that would take, because of, we've talked about this many times, of the shortage of accountants that are out there right now. I see a couple sides of this coin. I'm going to lob this to you too. And what do you think of this?
Something's got to change. And I do think experience is more valuable than the education. And if the test is so good for the CPA exam as advertised, right? It's a hard one to fake, falsify. You got to know your chops. Then yeah, let's hold that to the barrier to entry and not school, which people are like, well, it's an extra year of school. Yeah, it's also a year you're not working. So not only is it the cost of school, it's the opportunity cost of not working. It's prohibitive from people going into it. And it's just not a sexy field. So I think this is a step in the right direction. I mean, for a long time, you didn't need that 5th year to get a CPA. And now there's a whole lot of older people, older generation that are fighting to keep this 5th year that didn't have to do the 5th year when they got their CPA. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I have 2 sides to this. I agree with you. Like, this is a need. And like just talking through in the last segment too, you learn theory for accounting, but until you're in there in the trenches doing it, like how much of this you're retaining? Like, you can give me an open book test on accounting, and I get, like, with tools we have and all the resources and the Googles, right? I'm going to get 90% on it, right? So, like, the information all is out there. Let's go out there and get people experience. But I could see the other side of this is be like, well, do you have lesser trained accountants out there because they didn't have this extra year of schooling? But I think I'm with you here. Like, the higher value should be put on experience, and let's go out there and get this experience in these kids' hands, so they can develop and be better accountants in the future.
Jeremy, let me ask you this. Would you rather, right now, cold resume, would you have more faith in hiring a CPA who just worked 1 year at Big Four doing cash recons, but they did their 5 years of school, worked for Big Four doing cash recons, and just got their CPA and they're done? Or would you rather hire the person that went to school for 4 years doing accounting, but did not go work for the Big Four? Instead, they went and worked for, I don't know, specialty bookkeepers and did a whole year of accounting like all small firms do and didn't get stuck in one department. Who would you hire cold resume?
Oh, yeah. Second one, hands down, for a couple of reasons. Well, like, if they worked for a good firm. But no, like, especially when you say yours, I've seen your training regimen, and that's amazing, right? So, like, that real world experience, way better. And I feel too, when you're working at the Big Four, especially early, like you and I have both supported audits with these new CPAs, and you're teaching them accounting.
Yes.
When they're auditing your books, and be like, dude, get some real world experience out there. You can shoot out this random theory question that makes no sense. And like, I think we said earlier that they're following a script. Like when we were talking with Daniel, right, with the Google Ads guy, they're following the script and asking the questions. And I give you an answer, and you could be like, see them just writing things down, but like glazed over face. Like, I really don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, that's frustrating.
No, I'm right there with you. Our loser of the week, I don't know if you saw this article, but one California native, Roger Ver, who goes by the other name Bitcoin Jesus for how much Bitcoin he gave out to other people back in the early days of Bitcoin. He tried to basically exit as a US citizen in 2014 to avoid all the taxes from the increase in sell of all this crypto. And the IRS is coming after him, hitting with a $50 million tax fraud bill for basically all his efforts to try and get out of taxes on this crypto. Super interesting article in Yahoo Finance. I'm going to link it out there. But essentially, according to the IRS indictment filed in Los Angeles, he worked with a law firm to avoid reporting his personal holdings and to undervalue 73,000 Bitcoins owned by his companies. Insane.
I don't know if the deity label fits here. It sounds very un-Jesus-y. Can I say that, like Jesus-y? Can I adjective that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I mean, we know what you meant, so it's a word. So rough
All right.
day for Bitcoin Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy, that's all the time we have for this week. A long episode, but fun one. And hey, listener, well, both of you, listeners, if you guys want anyone else on the show, any other topics for us to cover, we'd love to hear it. No, Jeremy's mom is not available to join the next episode, but beyond that, we'd love to hear your thoughts or ideas. Otherwise, join us in the Facebook group. Anything I missed, Jeremy?
No, I think we're good. I think next time we'll have an update too on the greatest thing that came out of 1987. You were pretty solidly behind, so I would love to get some final figures on our next one.
That's a quote too. Until next time, sir.